This is Sleep Fader, where mindfulness, music, stories, and sound design come together to remix your inner dialogue, bring down the stress levels, and dial in your best sleep. Each episode is an original blend of mindful moments, music, and soundscapes, all rolled into a continuous story that evolves with every episode. Hey, it's Jeff. Whether you're continuing on from a previous installment or a first-time listener, thanks for inviting me into this very special part of your day. As usual, we'll start off here in this in-between space, which I've started thinking of as a lounge area between trying to rest and actually resting. Here, we can just ease into things without trying too hard as you get yourself settled in. I'll take a quick moment to share a couple of ways you can support this series. If you're enjoying Sleep Fader and it helps you relax and rest, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, however you love to listen. And visit sleepfader.com, where you can learn more about the series, support the show with a donation, or send me your feedback. That's it. Subscribe to the show and visit sleepfader.com for more. Both are free and easy ways to help me keep the show going. So, why do I think this is such a special part of your day? Well, when you try to relax and sleep, you're making a conscious decision to try and move between different states of being. To transition from where you are, aware, thinking, feeling, with some sense of control, to some place you want to be, relaxed and sleeping, and just adrift. That's a place we all need to be with some regularity, for the sake of our overall well-being. These transitional moments in time are so special because we've become a little more open to change. As we set our intention to rest, to deliberately move between states, we give ourselves over to it, releasing a little bit of that control. We sort of hover, suspended, waiting for sleep to just take us. Now, often, that hovering place, that waiting place, naturally fills up with thinking about tomorrow, replaying today. But what we're going to do instead is to begin by filling that space with some very intentional music. Just a couple of chords, which are really nothing but groups of notes, in transition from one state of being to another, on purpose and by design. And as you listen on purpose, attending to the sound of the piano keys, try to notice your breathing too, where you feel it, in your nose or your chest. Which notes or chords align with your in-breath? And which ones with the out-breath? Listening and noticing. All right. Hopefully, you're in a comfortable way and ready to make that transition with me out of the lounge and back into our story. It's a beautiful night with lots to see, and I've saved you a seat at a favorite spot. At a nearby table, a pencil glides over a paper placemat, where a young woman sits by the patio railing, drawing, waiting for her drink to arrive. She's probably 27 or so, dressed casually in faded jeans, a gray hoodie with a Pearl Jam logo on the front, and wearing rounded glasses, the type favored by John Lennon. Maybe she's a music lover. Several shopping bags are clustered around her feet and under the table, suggesting a busy day in and out of the stores that line these streets closest to the beach, where the last sun-baked visitors have finally begun to collapse their vibrant umbrellas and to roll up their sandy blankets and towels. One of the shopping bags comes from the art supply store, a place that seems almost out of place among the tourist shops that surround it. This purveyor of sketch pads, paints, brushes, and all manner of creative supplies has unselfconsciously named his shop for art's sake. Art is a gregarious middle-aged man with an imposing red beard, frequently seen walking around town, always with a steaming coffee cup in his hand, and usually wearing one of 3 different tie-dyed t-shirts he claims to have owned since acquiring them in 1989 at a Grateful Dead concert in Buffalo, New York. If you happen to run into Art, you may find yourself running late to wherever it was you were going, because Art likes to talk. And Art always has something to say. His customers provide him with a wealth of stories and laughter, and from this we can gather that being the sole proprietor of an art supply shop is a very fulfilling enterprise, for art's sake anyway. The atmosphere of this dockside eatery is chaotic, but well rehearsed. The servers expertly dodge each other, with trays full of lobster, burgers and fries, cocktails and sodas. The frenetic choreography of restaurant life. But the young woman drawing at the table maintains an air of intense focus, her pencil dancing across the placemat. The angle isn't right from here, so we can't quite make out her picture. But it's clear that she means to capture something, even if the medium is something as disposable, something so temporary as a paper placemat. A server comes to the woman's table. He's older and balding, and carries himself formally with his back straight. His crisp white collared shirt is tucked into a pair of spotless and perfectly pressed black jeans. With practiced grace, he deposits a tall, slim glass, carefully avoiding the placemat, which he's noticed has been transformed from something very ordinary into something that merits some friendly admiration. He smiles broadly and remarks that the drawing is very good, and asks the woman if it's someone she knows. She tells him no, not really. The server tells her, well, it's very realistic. She thanks him, and he leaves her with her drink, which looks like it might be a mojito. Carefully centered atop my placemat, reflecting the coral glow of the red tea light candle on my table, lies an object of some considerable fascination. The guitar pick. Found on the beach about a week ago now. Understandably, it invites continued contemplation. It is, after all, an object of art in its own right. Carved and shaped in smooth black stone, with hairline veins of silver that sometimes, in the right light, seem to form odd runes or letters, occasionally implying familiar shapes that disappear before they can be fully realized. Once again, holding it and tracing its contours between my fingers. For a fleeting moment, those silvery threads converge, outlining a woman and child, walking hand in hand. The woman wears a large sun hat. Just as quickly as it's noticed, the image is gone. Probably imagined, at any rate. At the table across the way, the young woman continues her work on her placemat portrait between small sips of her drink, as the last of the sunlight slips behind the horizon. The restaurant overlooks the marina. String lights adorn the rails and masts of the larger vessels, where silhouettes of laughing partygoers can be seen, gathering on decks designed for nights like this. Clear and mild. Warm, but not hot. Perfect for deck gatherings. Already, some of the brightest stars poke holes through the dark canopy that separates our world from the great expanse. The boardwalk fills with people of all types. Parents with sleepy children carried over their shoulders, passing elegantly dressed couples, headed for curiously named yachts. Clusters of teenagers roam about, their cell phone-lit faces seeming to float in the darkness. Retail and restaurant workers sit on public benches, eating from paper plates and wrappers, or smoking cigarettes between shifts. It's okay to notice these people, to gently observe them. By watching others from a distance, the way they move and interact, we can consider and appreciate our shared human experience without judgment and with genuine curiosity. And, more often than not, our own creative interpretation of what or who we may or may not be observing. We notice what other people are wearing, or how their bodies are shaped, how they're moving, or their accents when they speak. We may notice differences and similarities. It feels good to notice these things without really knowing anything about the people that we're watching. It can feel easy from this detached perspective to be more generous, more forgiving, to be simply kinder. In this noticing, we can consider our own differences, and without judgment, those things that make us who we are, unique among others. From our own observatories, with some reasonable degree of generosity, we can admire ourselves, knowing that we have our own place of belonging in this shared experience under the stars. The server approaches my table, and I transfer the guitar pick back into my pocket. He asks if there's anything else I'd like, but it's only the check I want now. A walk along the Marina will do nicely. Moving among the other people for a short while will help me hold on to this momentary awareness of appreciation and gratitude for just a while longer. The young woman at the adjacent table has gathered herself to leave as well. Standing with her bags collected in one hand, she swallows the last of her mojito, makes brief eye contact with me over the rim of her glass, then turns away, disappearing into and through the crowd at the bar. She's left her drawing on the table. It lays there, a common placemat, but also something notable. We can be grateful too that curiosity can now be satisfied. Looking down at it now, it's not a portrait so much as a scene. In it, a figure walks along a shoreline. We view them from behind and slightly below. In the distance, ahead of the figure in the foreground, a woman and child walk hand in hand toward distant cliffs. Folded in half, the drawing slips easily into my jacket pocket. Rather than going through the bar, I leave by way of the patio, which leads to the boardwalk and the marina, where all walks of life mingle and pass, move, and come to rest, back and forth, this way and that, alone and together.